Hello and welcome to another video tutorial brought to you by noxtt.com, enabling organizations through technology. In this tutorial, we're going to quickly demonstrate the power of Ansible. One command, multiple machines. So just as an overview, this video is meant to demonstrate the power of Ansible. The demonstration runs two playbooks. Playbook One will install Git, clone the Rufus repository from github.com. Just take a quick look at that. This is the Rufus repository. And for those interested, Rufus is an application that allows you to create a bootable USB. So all these files we're going to clone. That's what cloning in Git means. So Playbook One is going to install Git, clone the Rufus repository from github.com, and configure Git. Playbook 2. This is going to copy a file from the control machine to the Rufus repository and run git add and git commit commands to add the file to the repository. The playbooks will install Git, configure Git for future add and commit commands, clone a repository, copy a file from the control machine to the repository, and add this file as part of the repository. There will be 3 target machines, 2 machines from the Linux Academy's playground, and you can see target node and target node 2. Control host is where all the commands will be running from. And 1 machine from Amazon EC2 AMI instance on a free tier account. So that's going to be this instance right here. So what's so special? What's so special about Ansible? Well, if this task were being done manually on 1 machine, the following commands could be used for Playbook One. You would run the sudo apt install git command, then the git clone, followed by the HTTPS URL to clone the Rufus git. This will pull down all the files. Then you will have to run a git config with the global tag user.name noxtt.com to create a user, a published user. You also have to create a published user's email by running the git config global user.email. So these are the 2 configurations you have to run. Then you're going to copy a file. This will be Playbook 2. The following commands or actions are for Playbook 2. You're going to copy the file myrufustest to the Rufus repo folder on the remote machines. Then you will run a git add dot. This will add the myrufus file to the git repo, the Rufus git repo. Or you can also run a git add myrufustest, which is the name of the file. And then finally a git commit with the am tags and add myrufustest as the message. So this in all is about 7 commands, 4, 5, 6, 7. Instead of running 7 commands 3 times on each machine, because there are 3 machines, all you need to do is run it once in a playbook. In this instance, it's 2 playbooks. We've divided the 7 into 2 playbooks. Ansible then executes those commands on all 3 machines. Ansible can execute the playbook on any number of machines. Some terms used: control node. This is the machine the administrator will be using to run the playbooks and run all the commands. And you have the target nodes. These are the remote machines that require the installation or updates. So to give a visual, the Amazon EMI instance is a target node. And there are 2 target nodes here, target node and target node 2. The control machine is Ansible control host. So let's get a quick visual for what's happening here. Ansible, multiple remote installations. Execute Playbook 1. Git will be installed, Git will be configured, and the Rufus repository will be cloned on 3 different machines. 1, 2, 3. So the administrator is going to run Playbook 1. Ansible uses OpenSSH to execute its commands in the playbook. The remote machines can be reached either through a LAN, a WAN, or the internet. Some will say all are the same. And the playbook is going to execute those changes on 3 remote machines in different networks. 2, as I said, on Linux Academy, and 1 on AWS, Amazon Web Services. Playbook 2 is going to copy a file from the administrator's machine or the control machine. That file is going to be copied from this machine to these 3 different remote machines. And that file is going to be added to the Git repository. And this is going to happen again on all 3 machines. So one command, multiple installs. Let's just get a basic overview of what the requirements for this is. So for this to work, Ansible must be installed on the admin machine. The user Ansible must also be there. The user Ansible must have an SSH keygen because the playbooks use OpenSSH. All the remote machines must be in the Ansible inventory file. The playbooks must be in the folder. It can be in another path, but you must have playbooks to run. And the remote machines that are in the inventory, Ansible inventory file, they must have IP mappings in the etc host file. So that's it for the control node or the administrator machine. The remote machines, they simply have to have the user Ansible installed. That user must have sudo privileges, and the Ansible SSH keys on the admin machine must be stored in the .ssh folder on the remote machines. So this may sound like, some setting up, but compared to what can be installed and the amount of data and modifications that can be done, this is a really small requirement. So now let's just have a quick look of what I'm talking about and those requirements. So we're just going to look at the etc host file. Let's first have a look at the Ansible host file. And as you can see in the Ansible host file, we have a Linux Academy group node. We have an AWS group node. AWS has 1 machine, EC2 node 1. And Linux Academy has node 1 and node 2. So those 3 nodes must have an IP map in the etc host file. So the AWS target node for Ansible, this is the IP address, EC2 node 1. This is the public DNS. For the Linux Academy, these are the IPs, node 1, public DNS, IP node 2, public DNS. So that's how Ansible can use SSH to connect to these machines. So let's just have a look at these playbooks. Playbook 1. So as you can see, this is going to take a lot of explanation, so I'll just quickly run it through. Become means that the Ansible user is going to require elevated privileges. This is the various tasks that are going to be installed. You're going to install Git. It's going to be the latest version of Git. Then you're going to use the Git module to pull the Rufus repo. This is the destination. You're going to pull that Rufus repo to. We want to clone it. We want the latest version of it. And then these are the commands to run to configure Git for the global username and global user email address. Then let's have a look at Playbook 2. Playbook 2, we're going to copy the MyRufus test file from the host machine to this location on all remote hosts. So this is the source. It's going to copy to this particular path on all 3 machines. And then we're going to run the git commands to add this file to the repo. So that should be it. I have another console window opened up here just in case we want to check, log into the Amazon, but it may not be necessary seeing that we have everything in Etsy host here. We can always quickly check, but we may or may not utilize it. So let's run those playbooks, or let's ensure that nothing is on those nodes. So let's just SSH into node 1. I'm already the Ansible user. So this is node 1, and node 1 will be the Linux Academy Playground node server. Ansible target node, that is node 1. So who am I? I'm the Ansible user. Which git? Git is not installed, and there is no Rufus repository inside the Ansible user home directory. So let's exit. And let's go into node 2. And it's going to be pretty much the same thing. Git is not installed. There's no Rufus repository. So let's go over into our Amazon EC2 instance. If this is taking a bit, we can always EC2 node 1. Oh, there it came up. Oh, we're getting some problems with the host name. Okay, we'll be logged in on this side. So let's just check. There's nothing. Which git? Git is not installed. So let me just make sure that we have our PEM key here. This SSH Ansible PEM. I'm just kind of curious as to why this is not okay. So we logged in this time. So this is the login. When you log into your EMI, you're going to log in as the user Ubuntu. So I would have to SU to the Ansible user. And as you can see, there's no Rufus repo here, and Git is not installed. So let's log out completely. Okay, so let's run our playbooks, and the expectation is, at least in Playbook One, as we said in Playbook One, Git is going to be installed, the Rufus repository will be cloned, and Git will be configured. And this is on all 3 machines. So let me just make sure this looks like the Amazon EC2 instance. Right, so I'm back on my Linux Academy control node, and I'm going to run Playbook One. Install Git, change an EC2 node, node 1, node 2, task is Git, this is the configuring, node 1, node 2, EC2 node, and that's it. So let's check, and we can start checking with our Amazon Web Service EC2 instance. Again, let me change to the Ansible user. So I'm the Ansible user here. So let's just clear the screen and which Git. Git is installed. And there is the Rufus repository. It has been cloned. Let's go into it. So these are all the files and folders from the Rufus repository. Seeing that I am in the repository, I can run a git status. There's nothing to commit. I can run a git log. This is everything that has taken place so far. So it was successfully installed on our Amazon EC2 instance. Let's check the other nodes. Let's check the Linux Academy nodes. So we're going to SSH into node 1. Again, there's the Rufus repository. And which Git? Git is installed. So if I go into Rufus, I can run a git status. So it's installed there. Let's check the second Linux Academy target node, which was node 2. There's the Rufus. And Git is installed. So Playbook One ran as expected. Git was installed, the Rufus repository was cloned from github.com, and Git was configured. So let's run Playbook 2. When we run Playbook 2, what we should expect to see, because this is the control node, this file here called my Rufus test. Let's see what's in my Rufus test. It's just a file. This is some extra line of text for my new Rufus file to be included in the repo. And we can just probably add some more text to that. Probably the date. Today's date. If I remember my basic Linux commands, this should work. Append to my Rufus test. So we're going to echo today's date. We're going to append it to the my Rufus test. Let's see what happens. So now when we cut today's date, and that's the date. So let's run Playbook 2. Again, it's supposed to copy the my Rufus test file to all 3 nodes, the 2 Linux Academy and the 1 Amazon EC2 AMI, and include it as part of the Rufus repository. Ansible Playbook. So we just let it run. This shouldn't take too long, so that's it. Let's once again check our EC2 instance. Let's go into Rufus. Let's list it, and there's the my Rufus test file. Let's cut it out. Today's date. Today's date. 29th of September. 29th of September, 4257, 4257. Okay, so it went to the Amazon instance. Let's check the node 1 for Linux Academy. And there it is. Let's cd into Rufus. And that's the file. So let's check the last node on Linux Academy, which was node 2. Directory is there. That's the file. Did we cd int it? No, we did not. Now we can cut it out. Same file. So that was pretty quick. And that is a big deal. I was able to run just 2 playbooks, but affect 3 remote machines on totally different platforms. Because the Linux Academy's playground is very different from Amazon's EC2 instances. And yet from a Linux Academy control host, I can run a playbook, run 2 playbooks, and to perform an installation, plus add a new file to a Git repository. So that's a pretty powerful move. That's a pretty powerful application, Ansible. I hope you found this video informative, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.